My name is Ellen, and I'll be correcting this essay for you today. Let's take a look at what you have written here. This is about ex-criminals. Here's what you wrote. The education of young people has always been a concern in society. That being said, who's the best person to lecture them on the dangers of committing a crime? Some may argue that ex-prisoners who now are considered good citizens, some may argue that ex-prisoners who are now considered good citizens are the best ones to do so. Personally, I agree that the best person to talk about experience and its results is the one who been through it. But when talked about exposing teenagers to people who committed a crime, I have reservations. This essay will discuss some of the reasons why society should be careful on using ex-convicts and talks about the dangers of committing crime. Okay, a lot of this is really good. But there are a couple of things that I want to talk to you about in order to make it even better. Okay, so let's look at that a little bit. First of all, I don't really understand your paragraphing. One of the things that you want to do is you want to leave a line between each paragraph, because this is the clearest way to indicate that one paragraph has ended and another one is beginning. Okay, so look what's happening here. When I saw your line end here, I thought that this is where your paragraph ended. And so this then was the start of a new paragraph. But that doesn't make sense, because this statement where you say your position, it doesn't belong in a separate paragraph. So all of this, look at this, all of this should be one block of text. Okay? And then you should leave a line, ideally, between this line and this line. So that's how I would like to see you do it. When you hit enter here or whatever happened, it made it look like you were starting a new paragraph, and that doesn't work. Paragraphing is important in task 2. If you paragraph inappropriately, this will affect your coherence and cohesion score. Excessive paragraphing or not enough paragraphing will bring you down to a band 5 in coherence and cohesion. Okay? So let's see what you did. All right, so firstly, oh wait, no, I want to go back to this actually. So let's take a look also at the grammar of some of this language here and the vocabulary. So this was fine, and I like that you used that being said. I don't like that you use a contraction. Some people say that it's okay to use contractions in task 2. It is essentially okay. This is not a strictly formal essay, but if you want to make it sound a little more academic, a little more serious, and a little more formal, and there's no harm in doing that, it's okay to be formal, I would suggest using the full expression. So who is, okay? That being said, who is the best person to lecture them on the dangers of committing a crime? And then the rest of this is fine. I agree that the best person to talk about experience and its results is the one who has been through it. But when talking about exposing teenagers to people who committed a crime, I have reservations. Don't forget to capitalize your I. This essay will discuss some of the reasons why society should be careful when using ex-convicts and talks about the dangers of committing crime. Okay, and then it's fine. So just those 3 little mistakes there, otherwise it was good. Let's continue. Firstly, I think it is important to determine what the definition. Okay, I think it's important to determine what the definition used for a good citizen is. All right, so you had a little problem there. Just just not taking part in criminal activities is not good enough. Here you need a semicolon. It's important to understand what truly changed in the behavior and mindset. Okay, someone who is ill-intended may not take any criminal action, but their thinking is already corrupted in a non-moral way. When in the presence of young and more vulnerable people, when in the presence of young and more vulnerable people, will they try to impose their ideas and moral grounds? A psychological test should be applied to make sure ex-convicts won't use this opportunity for their own benefit. Okay. Let's see. All right, we'll talk about this in a minute. Secondly, the type of crime committed by the person who is going to. We never use gonna in IELTS. This is definitely a no-no. It's really way too informal, very conversational, so it does not belong in an essay like this. Even if it's a neutral essay, you're not going to use this gonna. It's considered substandard. It's only okay in informal speech. All right, so secondly, the type of crime committed by the person who is going to give the talk needs to be investigated and put in question. Crimes that involve with an I, physical violence, torture, or murder are some examples that must not be shared and can cause harm to the ones, no apostrophe, who are listening. The tone of the lecture needs to be firmly against violence. Okay? In conclusion, people who regret perpetrating crime should be able to share their stories with society. When stories are directed to a younger group, some rules and protocols should be established, such as psychological tests and checking the criminal file of a convict to protect them. Okay, so let's talk about this essay now. I think that you are starting off your preparation at a great place. You've got really good grammar, really good vocabulary. Yeah, there were a couple of mistakes, but it wasn't really anything super, super tragic. Most of the sentences were accurate, and that's going to give you a good score in grammatical range and accuracy as well as vocabulary, because I thought you did well despite any small errors you had. Where you ran into some problems are in task achievement and coherence and cohesion. Okay? So I already talked partially about coherence and cohesion. I told you that your paragraphing had some problems. So that's something you absolutely have to work on. We typically recommend a 4-paragraph structure with a very clear introduction, a very clear conclusion, and 2 very distinct body paragraphs where the central idea is easily located. Okay, so that's another thing. So definitely for sure this coherence and cohesion. Another thing that's important about coherence and cohesion is the central idea of each paragraph. Okay, so the way this all happened, I wasn't really sure. Well, I obviously wasn't sure where the paragraphs began and where they ended. So I also wasn't able to really determine what the central idea of each paragraph was. As I said, we recommend 2 body paragraphs. So, okay. So, let's see. This should not have been its own paragraph. I'm assuming, or at least we should assume, that this should be 1 paragraph, okay? And you have to make sure that each idea is very closely linked to the next. They have to create a chain where the flow of your ideas from one to the next is very clear and very logical, okay? So here, and not only that, but each of your ideas has to be extended. So you said this here, and I thought that was very interesting. But I was kind of waiting for you to continue with it. So just not taking part in criminal activities is not enough. It is important to understand what truly changed in the behavior and mindset. Okay, why? That's the question that comes up. Anytime at the end of a sentence that the examiner can ask why, that indicates that you probably should have added something to fully answer and fully develop the thought. Okay, so this for me, I asked myself why is it important, how would that change things? So explain it to me, or give me an example of what would not work. Maybe this is what you intended to do here, but again, the way you paragraphed this or the way you separated this made me think, oh, okay, well, maybe Anna is going on now to a new idea. Okay, so like I said, a lot of this really confused me, and I wasn't really clear of the link. All right, because then here you're not talking about understanding their motivation and their behavior. Here you're talking about something totally different. So I was really rather confused about this, and I found it very difficult to find a central idea. All right, and then let's see. So we need to investigate the person, right? Okay, fine. We need to make sure that we get rid of these types of criminals, okay? But again, I felt like there wasn't really enough information here. So why do you think that these are not acceptable. Okay, so in physical are must not be shared and can cause harm. All right, you said that you can cause harm, but I still felt like you needed to say more about this. Another thing that I think is you focus just on some of these limitations of the types of people who should be doing this, talking to which criminals should be doing this, talking to the young people, and what kind of characteristics they need to have or not need to have. But what I wanted was something else. Why are they the best people? That's really the key word of this introduction, the best people. So you can see that inherently there is some sort of a comparison here. Okay? So comparing them to whom? Who are they better than? Okay? And that's something I think should have been included here. Or why are they the best people? You didn't really talk about that at all. All right. You didn't tell me why they are better than any other person or why. Okay. You simply went off in a different way, which was related, but not necessarily what they asked you to talk about. And so that all needs a little work. Okay. So I think you're on the right track. Like I said, you're starting off at a great point because you've got really nice grammar and really good vocabulary. But what you need to do now is really kind of pull everything together to make a really well structured, really cohesive, and well developed essay. I would love to be able to help you do that. So if you're interested in continuing working with us, you'll see links on different packages that you can sign up for so that we can continue giving you feedback. Like I said, a good score for sure for grammar and vocabulary. A lesser score for sure, a lower score for coherence and cohesion, and a so-so score then for task achievement. So I hope that gives you information you need. I hope we get to see more work from you. I'm looking forward to it. So good luck.